Hey YouTube, it's TechSavvy Solution here, and I'm here with a day 2, second look at the Jelly Bean firmware for Android. In my first review of the software, I left out a few things, so thanks guys for pointing all of those things out. So in this video review, I'm going to demo each of those, as well as some additional features that both of us had either overlooked or failed to mention. So by the end of this review, you're going to be able to know everything that has to do with Jelly Bean. And if you want the technical developer jargon details, you can check out the link in the video description below, which will take you to the official Android website where it showcases all of those changes. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first thing that I'm going to be demoing is regular scrolling speed. Now, YouTube user Andy Turfer had requested that I demo this because back in my first video I had demoed crazy scrolling speed in the web browser. If you didn't catch that, I was going like this the entire time, and that's not too realistic. So I'm going to go ahead and show you some normal speeds both on the web browser and the Google Plus app. And then we'll also take a look at how the scrolling speed works on the widget as well. So I'm going to go ahead and see if my camera can focus on that, and then just scroll for you. Now I'm seeing some lag just through my video camera, but when I'm looking just at the phone itself, it's not lagging too much. You could barely notice it at all. Very, very responsive, and definitely comparable to the feedback that you get on iOS. Okay, so let's take a look at the Google Plus app and see how it scrolls there. So this is just my main page. And again, it's very responsive. And then let's take a look at the Bookmarks app. So let me go ahead and put this in an entire new window, or a screen I mean. Go like that. So this is the scrolling. And then what if we have tons to scroll through? So I hope that gave you a pretty good look at how normal scrolling speed occurs. It's quite smooth, and this has to do a lot with Project Butter, which was the goal behind this new firmware, Jelly Bean. So the goal, as it were, was to get 60 frames per second with every action. So they just improved the code, and that in itself made so much of a difference in terms of speed and responsiveness. They also have triple buffering in graphics, and it actually predicts where your finger will be next on the screen. So it makes this, again, more responsive, more interactive with the user. So while we're on the home screen, I want to take a look at a quick gesture that I had overlooked in the first video. So what you can do is, in addition to the smart rearrangement of widgets and icons, if you don't want a certain widget or icon, instead of having to drag it all the way up to the top of the screen to remove it, you can just do a quick gesture up to remove it, and that same thing goes for widgets. So that was just a neat feature that I thought would be cool, and Jelly Bean has it in their firmware. So we're going to move on to the next section, which is Jelly Bean Maps. So if you go ahead and open up the Maps application, I'll show you one of the new features that Jelly Bean includes in this application. So if we are to go down to these 3 buttons on the bottom, we have the new feature of making maps available offline. So that's great if you're a traveler and you don't want to rely necessarily on a data connection to load all of your maps, because that could take a lot of memory to do. So you could download your maps via Wi-Fi, or if you really wanted to via data connection. But if you save it on Wi-Fi first, then you can go ahead and put this thing in your pocket like a paper road map and navigate through that. Now, as you can see right now, the restriction to this is that you can't really download the entire map because it's going to be too large. So you can only choose a limited selection of a certain size, which I believe is 80 megabytes. So if you download more than that, it's not going to let you. So you have to zoom in until you get an image or a selection that is right in that perfect range, which I don't think is very convenient. It's like why would we have to know this? Like, to know exactly how far our next location is going to be. I mean, if you're the on the go traveler and you're traveling more than just from here to here, then you're out of luck, I guess. But for now, this is what we have, and it's definitely better than not having the option to save offline maps. So let's go ahead and go to Bloomington and then save this map and see how it goes. So I'm just going to walk you through the rest of the maps application if you haven't seen it already. So up here we have access to not just the Google Maps stuff, but we have integration with other Google location services. Like, we have our navigation, we have latitude, and we have places. So that's really great how Google incorporates that all in here. And then again, we have layers, so we can see the traffic. It's quite instantaneous as well. And then Wikipedia, where if you click on a little Wikipedia icon, you can go ahead and look at a description of it so you know exactly where you're going, what it is. Now, what I'd like to see with these layers is that we could have like a tick mark or check boxes by them, so that if we wanted to select or deselect more than once, but not all or not none, then we can choose specifically which ones we want without having to exit and go back, exit, go back. So I'm going to clear the map so it's all clean, and then we're going to wait for our map to download, and we can see in our notifications the download progress. Alright, so it looks like our map has finished loading, so I'm going to go ahead and exit out of the map applications right now, toggle off Wi-Fi, and then go to settings. Then let's turn off mobile data, and then see if this application will still load offline. So let's clear the cache, or clear the running applications. We'll open up maps. So data connection unavailable, but let's take a look at, skip that, our offline list. So here is the map that we had saved before, which is this squared area over here. And as you can see, as we're zooming in, it has every single detail that you would get normally online. But here you get a pretty good look at what offline maps has to offer. Okay, so that's it. And then now we're going to move on to the new YouTube application, if you haven't seen it already. So right now, before I go to the new YouTube application, I want to show you a new layout for choosing what application to use to open up a link. So for example, I'm going to type in my video, so let's voice search that. The video of Jelly Bean that I made earlier, part 1. Android 4.1 Jelly Bean in-depth review. Not quite, so let's do this. In-depth view, and then let's tag tech-savvy solution on the front of that. So we have tech-savvy solution. And there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and play this review. And you can see that we have a dialog asking us which application to open. And it's different from the list that we usually got on Ice Cream Sandwich. So now we can just choose application like this. In this case, I'm going to go to the YouTube application. And then your two options are to always use this application for this action, or just to use it just this one time. So I'm going to do that. And then, I mean, there are minor UI differences with the new application, but one of them is that this bar to show the progress of the video, progress bar, it's red instead of blue. So everything is like so. And yes, I did accidentally say jelly bean sandwich. You know, it's a hybrid between the two. So this is the application, and let me just show you what they have here. So the videos are now in this sort of Google Plus like feel in terms of the previews. I really like this a lot better. You have more real estate dedicated to the actual picture, and then the description is overlaid on top of that, which is nice. And then here we also have our menu. So yes. And then settings and everything else remains pretty much the same. Do have the option of preloading now, which is to fetch videos in advance, and then you can watch them later on slow networks. So that's nice. It's kind of like how Maps is trying to integrate offline maps. So it's kind of like a semi-offline video loading and saving. Pseudo-saving, if you want to call it that. So that's the new YouTube application. Next, we're going to be demoing the music app. So if we head over to our music app, take a look at the new widget that I outlined in my previous review. But here we have, again, minor UI differences, but the design is a little different in that we have playlists first instead of the most recent. And then when we have the most recent tab, we have them in icons. So we can just take a look at the albums that we have here instead of the list view that we had before. So there's more variety in what we see because the next one is going to be a list view. So we have first list with the album cover, and then just the album cover with description, and then just plain text. And then like we had before in the playlists list, then songs, just regular text. And same with genres. So it gives the eye more to look at than rather just the same format over and over and over again for each of these tabs. But I think this is pretty cool. They actually call it Google Play Music now. So again, they're integrating Play with it because now you have Play Movies, Play Magazines, Play Music, and so on and so forth. So when you actually start playing the music, the interface again is different in that you don't have that little arrow on this corner. Because normally if you click on the arrow you get all of these options. No, I didn't mean to thumbs down that, but now that if you just tap on the album art, then you get these options right from the get-go. So you have options for repeat, shuffle, and then thumbs up, thumbs down. And then now we have this new icon here to give us what's on the queue in the playlist. You can rearrange it right from here. Or if you can long hold, or long tap, press, and then you have all these options over here. A new and neat feature with the Google Play Music is that you can choose on-device music. So this is what they called it in the previous version, offlining music, but now you can just scroll like so and choose which ones you want offline from the entire list. And then if we go into landscape mode, you have that same option and you get to actually take a more visual look at what you have, and these pins indicate that you can tap on this. Oops. Tap on that to make it offline, to keep it on the device, and it conveniently shows you your available storage that you have left. So I like the little play on the album. It goes up and down as well, so it's not just a straight scroll. Maybe it's a bug, but I think it's nice. And then you also have the feature to show the only the songs that have been offlined. So in case you don't want to waste your data connection or anything, if you're on a limited data plan like I am, then you can just play songs without having to waste data. So that's a cool option as well. Now the next application that we're going to be moving on to is not an application, but rather the notification bar. So with notifications, we have a couple of cool new gestures that I forgot to outline in my previous video. So for example, if you were to take two fingers and hold them on the screen, you can drag to collapse the notification and make it smaller, or you can drag outwards to make it expanded and have more detail to it. You can also do that with the calendar notifications. Now there are some notifications that are only one size and you cannot resize them. They're normally the small ones. Like for example, if you have a package that needs to be updated in Google Play, then it'll only be able to have a size that is similar to this. But as you can see, I have different notification types for either my calendar event or the snapshot that I took. So for developers, you have the option to make your own custom notifications. And with that, you have 3 templates to choose from with the new Jelly Bean firmware. So the first template that you have to choose from is just the text view or the text format. So that's just, you're going to have a whole block of text as your notification, and your notification size can be up to 256 dp in height. Now the second one is a list type notification. So if you have things like messages or emails or headlines for news applications, then you can have them all list in a size that you choose. So if you'd seen in my previous video, towards the end of it, I had a whole bunch of emails that I had, and the notification actually listed them in detail. And of course, we could always resize it. And I did that in my previous video as well, so you could take a look at that. And then the third option or template that you have is, of course, the image one, where we see in our snapshot screenshot notification. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and show you that we can go through these features that the notification has. So the option to share, for example, or the option to snooze. So let's go ahead and share this. I'm going to go to Google Plus and take a look at the keyboard again while we're at it. So with voice to text, I'm going to go ahead and say, this is a snapshot of my current Android phone, period. Let's try that again. It's a freak occurrence. Usually is right. This is a snapshot of my current Android phone. Nope. Let's do this. This is a snapshot of. There we go. So I think the key with voice to text is that you have to wait a few moments before you start speaking. Otherwise, it's going to like jumble it up, I guess. You have to wait until it is ready to receive your voice. So when we have this, you can also go and type it manually. And what I want to show you is the new word prediction feature of this keyboard. So I'm going to type the same thing, this, and then already it has predicted is going to be the next word, then I'm going to say snapshot, of my Android phone. So that's pretty good prediction as well. Another thing that I forgot to mention is that in the notification bar on the bottom, when you have the keyboard open, the back button changes to a downwards arrow. So it makes a little more sense when you're clicking or tapping on that option to hide the keyboard. So I thought that was a pretty cool change in the UI. So then now we can go ahead and send it. And the post has been shared and it automatically gets out of the way so you can resume doing what you were doing before. But I'm going to go back to that and delete this because I already have a snapshot that I shared. So let's go ahead and refresh it. If you want to follow me in Google Plus, you get all the coolest updates on the latest videos and stuff that I'm up to with my tech stuff. So let's go ahead and delete this. And then, as you can see here, I had already taken a previous snapshot before. Also, what I want to note about the keyboard is that we have better support for international users. So if we look at the language, we have a much wider selection of this. And then we also have the option to go as far as to install our own keyboard maps. So you could install keyboard maps for additional international keyboards or special layout types. So much better support with that. And in terms of like the technical details of how it's more supportive with international users, you have bidirectional text, and that displays and handles editing text in both left to right and right to left scripts. So that is also a useful feature to have. And then just a brief look at the settings for the keyboards. Alright, so that wraps up keyboards. And then also, another feature with this is that we go to Google Play or the Play Store and we have any updates that we need to do, then instead of downloading the entire application again and having to rewrite it or overwrite it, then what Google will do is only download the parts that have changed. So with that, you have app updates that are considerably smaller, about 1/3 of the normal size, and they'll save your data and save your time as well. So let me go ahead and show you how fast these updates are. So notice only about 2 megs or megabytes. Then we have our notification here. We're in the application so it doesn't stick in the notification bar. So that was what I thought was pretty cool about that. It's actually called Smart App Updates by Google. They are smart, so congrats. So now, finally, the last thing I'm going to be talking about is Android Beam. So right now I do not have another Android phone to like show you how this works, but what Android Beam is sharing photos, videos, contacts, web pages, YouTube videos, directions, apps, anything. Not anything, but pretty much everything, just by touching 2 Android devices back to back and then tapping the Beam button. So it's a really easy way to share everything that you want to other people who have Android devices just as well. And then what it operates on is this NFC chip on the back cover, at least for the Galaxy Nexus. And I don't know if you can even see, but it's just a small little indent or little bump. That's the chip. It's really great technology, but only if you have this chip. If you don't, then I guess you're out of luck. But it's a quick way to actually share information, and I hope this becomes a new standard in Android phones, as it is quite a nice feature. Also, if you want to pair Bluetooth headsets or speakers, you no longer have to navigate all through those complicated menus and settings. If your Bluetooth headset or speaker supports simple, secure pairing, all you have to do is tap your phone and the headset or speaker together, and it'll go ahead and pair those two. So, again, no more complicated navigation through these menus, and it's Google's way of making things more simple. So, one last thing I want to show you before we conclude this video review is another shortcut to Google Now. So before my first video I had mentioned that if you long press on the home button you'll have a shortcut to Google Now, but what you can do is swipe upwards quickly from every single or any single one of these buttons on the navigation bar. So like this, or like this, or like this, and you can also do it in any application. And so on and so forth. You get the idea. So that about concludes this day 2 look at the Jelly Bean firmware. If I missed anything, all of the details and the developer language jargon that you need to know about Jelly Bean is in the link that I have in the video description below to the official Android website, which has a full list of changes and features in Jelly Bean. But I covered all of the major ones and pretty much everything that you as a user need to know about Jelly Bean. So thanks for watching, guys. Please stay tuned for my full customization tutorial for the Samsung Galaxy Nexus if you want to know how to get Jelly Bean on your phone before the over-the-air update, or if you want to just know how to unlock the bootloader, root your phone, flash some custom ROMs, and do some custom theming, then head over to that tutorial because I'll be able to show you just how to do that. But for now, I'm going to head out, and you guys would go on with your own lives, I guess. So thanks for all of your feedback. Please rate, comment, and subscribe if you like what you see and want to see more. And I'll see you guys next time on the next video review or tutorial or news announcement. Thanks, guys.